What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution. Today we're starting a challenge mode. This is actually a challenge mode I did a couple of nights ago. It's my first fully completed challenge mode on easy difficulty. I just wanted to give it a bit of a try out, and this is all post commentary, so it's not live commentary, because I wanted to try my best and try to fully focus on the game itself. And I'm here after completing it within 2 hours. The final time was 1 hour and 54 minutes on easy mode, so I think that was pretty good for, it was like a semi-first try. I played the game a bit, the new update in the first challenge mode, to try to see what the starting conditions were. So it's not similar to Sandbox because you still have to deal with power and everything like that. Everything starts off with 0 unlock, so you have no genome percentages. Everything starts off with 0%, and you only access to the starting dinosaurs, which is ceratosaurus, Edmontosaurus, triceratops, and Struthiomimus. So they're the only available dinosaurs at the beginning of the game.
Here's where you get to prove you can succeed where others have failed. In challenge mode, your ability to run and manage a park will really be put to the test.
So yeah, the game starts off, and pretty much you gotta try to be super quick as possible. What I first did was I designated a power area, and I plopped down a power station straight away. And by the way, you only start off with the small power station. You have to unlock, research everything. So you pretty much start off with nothing. You pretty much start off with all the basic buildings and items and unlockables that you would start off, say, Isla Matanceros when you start the campaign. So the first thing, obviously, without 0% genomes, is you have to build an expedition center and an accompanying fossil center to extract the fossils that you need. But expedition center is utmost priority to try to get that up and running, because you want to start sending expeditions to try to get at least the 50% mark. And because the game starts you off with the ceratosaurus, and I believe the carnivores are still pretty imbalanced in terms of ratings. How the carnivores are a bit more skewed to have higher ratings than herbivores, which is why I went for the Lourinhã formation straight away. And I wanted to try to get Ceratosaurus up and running straight away. And also, if you look at the bottom right, so in this new mode, the missions and the contracts are played a bit differently. So instead of requesting certain contracts that you can, the game actually focuses around on you trying to complete as many contracts as possible. There are several benefits to trying to complete them as quick as possible, because you are limited in your funds in this mode. Easy does start off with a lot of funds at the beginning, but when you're starting to play challenge or hard mode, I can imagine economic effects are much more prevalent. And thus, contracts actually provide you with some decent constant income, because there is the new Hammond Foundation fee mechanic, which steals a bit of your money. I'm not sure what the time frame is. I feel it was like every 10 minutes or something, or maybe every 5 minutes. But in easy mode, I'll just say it out now, it's not that bad. The foundation fee is usually about in the 100k mark. So it's about like 500k, and it slowly increases as the game wears on. But it wasn't that bad, because I think in easy mode you will still eventually reach a late game stage where your economy is absolute bonkers and you don't really have to worry about money. But that's about after like 1 hour mark. So yeah, I have my expeditions going. I'm just focusing on the Ceratosaurus, try to get that at least to 50%, because you want to bring out a dinosaur ASAP. It doesn't really matter how authentic and how high percentage you want, you just need to pump out a dinosaur ASAP. And because of the carnivore skewed ratings, you want to get a carnivore out first. I feel like that's the priority, so that's what I was trying to get. And it's not much harder to get a carnivore, because you do start with 2 Ceratosaurus dig sites, and those dig sites start off with nothing but the Ceratosaurus. So it's like so easy to get Ceratosaurus fossils that you really don't need to focus on trying to get something else, because the rarity is, you know, skewed. Because if you dig at those 2 sites, you're only going to get Ceratosaurus. So I built a bit of a holding pen, obviously with the hatchery, the Hammond Creation Lab to start off. Terrain issues is what I had a lot of issues with. In my first game, when I tried just plopping down every building, the terrain issues actually limited your building space so much if you don't deal with it in the early. So if you guys noticed a couple minutes ago, what I did was I just grabbed the flatten tool, full max radius, and just flattened everything around every area. And it's what I'm going to do consistently as the game wears on, as this mode wears on, where if I want to expand into a new area, I just flatten the entire place first, just to equalize the place. Because in challenge mode, it's not about the aesthetics, it's all about trying to get the fastest time frame, right? So you really don't need to worry about how good or aesthetically pleasing your park looks. You just want to pump those numbers up, get that 5-star rating. So yeah, now I've estimated with my current fossils that I'll be able to reach 50% ceratosaurus exhibit, 50% ceratosaurus genome levels minimum. So I've now switched to try to get either the diplodocus or the triceratops. Those are the next highest ratings. I don't think I ever went for the Stryphiomimus in this game, because you want to go for the high rating dinosaurs. And early game, I think what matters most in your research, as you can see, I built a research center up to start researching. I think the Hammond Creation Lab researchables are the most important. So your viability increases and your time, incubation time increases. I think those are very important, because early on in the game, when you're trying to pump out 50% genome dinosaurs, they're going to have very low viability, especially if you want to increase their ratings by putting arbitrary genome modifications in. They're going to have even lower viability. So you really want that that success rate 1.0 ASAP before you make any dinosaurs, because I feel like a failure early on, say like a 300k dinosaur or a 500k dinosaur, it's going to hit your economy pretty hard, especially since when the first Hammond Foundation fee rolls in. You do get stuck quite a lot economically in the early game in this mode. So I suggest you always be on top of your money and try to maximize your money. So I created the standard tactic now, everyone does, of the holding pen strategy. And through this entire game, I've only made one Hammond Creation Lab. I never plopped down another, because there was really no need. So you guys can see from the way I designed it, the holding pen actually connects to possibly up to 3 exhibits. So yeah, here I'm trying to get a Montosaurus, and I've been really lucky with Ambers. I'm not sure if that's difficulty level.
Smart expansion is what we should be.
This is where I edit the genome levels, and you don't start with many genome modifications, obviously, because you need to research them all, but you just try to pump them in ASAP. So 88% viability, that's great. Anything over 75 or even 70, I think is doable. 70 is a bit risky, but we'll see. And you notice I'm not, making the most spectacular exhibits. I don't really care about size constraints that much, because in easy mode, the dinosaurs actually don't need that much space. So you can actually try to be very frugal with it. So that's like an interesting way to put it. So here I'm pumping out more fossils. Now I'm switching to triceratops, because I believe I should have enough for, or at least close to 50%, but I think I have to come back for it. So here I'm just speeding through, creating just a small pond, getting some carnivore feeders. And I'm also pumping through the contracts as well. So you can see in the bottom right, the contracts, your, what's it called, reliability levels with the free factions, they actually degrade over time. So there's actually a decay. Reputation, sorry. So the reputation actually decays, so you want to keep on top of that, because you don't want to reach sabotage levels. In saying that, it's not that hard in easy mode. I felt like it was really easy, because contracts were pretty doable. I'm not sure if that actually increases in difficulty, I believe it does. Like, you'll get much harder contracts in the high difficulty settings. But yeah, as you can see, I've got pretty decent in science right now, and just a small smidge in security. So I wanted to pump up my entertainment. So I tried to keep it balanced throughout, and it worked pretty well. And here was when I realized I started having power issues, so I wanted to pump up a second small power station. And remember, you only start with small power stations in the early game. You have to research later the medium power station. So I've already started incubating my ceratosaurus, and it actually has 69% genome, which is fairly sizable. I think I could have maybe gone earlier, maybe went closer to 50% to try to pump it out maybe a minute or two quicker. But I think the priority is just trying to get your first dinosaur out so your guests can start coming in and start earning you money. And also slightly built up a guest area with the fast food restaurant, and they're starting, I think it was the gift shop. Yeah, the gift shop. And the guests actually come in pretty quickly. Like, your population actually skyrockets very quickly. I feel like in easy mode, that's also a thing where your attendance number skyrockets, and I feel like you're gonna struggle in the high difficulty settings with guest attendance rates. So in the early game, even if you only have like 2 or 3 species for easy mode, you actually get a lot of guests, so you want to try to satisfy them as much as possible. So researching things like the clothes shop and the early arcade and stuff, they're actually it's actually pretty wise, I think, to do that. But yeah, since you start off with so much money in easy mode, I feel like it's really a lot of money. You can spam your research bit, and here is when I switched to trait genes, because I felt like just having an extra gene, it doesn't really matter. Like, I know the focus is to try to increase your dinosaur lifespan, but if you're trying to race against the clock, just putting any good gene on will do wonders, right? Like, you really don't care about stats. You want to care about getting the most rating on your dinosaurs out. So you want to maximize those ratings. So your dinosaur rating increases, and your guests are happy because they're seeing much more genetically modified dinosaurs, I guess. So here I want to expand the area, getting ready for my pretty large herbivore exhibit, and my first ceratosaurus is out. And
Look, there really is
yeah,
no
so
other
once you
way to
reach
put it. You're good
1
at
stars,
this paleo
you
curation
start unlocking
thing.
things, and I think it's every half star after that you start unlocking new things. So you can see now we have access to dinosaurs such as Trichingosaurus, baryonyx, Velociraptor. You start getting access to Coryphosaurus and Ankylosaurus in North America. And there is one species that I did focus on, and that's the Velociraptor. The Velociraptor is one of the highest rated dinosaurs in the game, so you want to abuse that mechanic and try to get that in. So as you can see, I've only made 1 ceratosaurus, and I already hit like past the half-a-star mark and into the 1-star mark. So it actually goes fairly quickly if you're really efficient. And I'm not saying this was my most efficient run, and there's definitely improvements, and I learned a lot from this run. But certainly it's just mostly just optimization of your tactics. So yeah, just did a bit of things just to increase his comfort levels. You just want to make it barely comfortable. So here I was trying to get the triceratops genome. So I wanted to make a smallish herbivore exhibit with the Edmontosaurus and the triceratops. I think I didn't want to incubate them yet because I wanted just slight slither more of genome levels. So here I unlocked the immune response, and from my campaign playthrough, immune response was one of the most commonly that I use personally, because it increases your resilience and the lifespan, which is very useful because resilience obviously is your resilience against diseases in the game, and if you can just make that really high, then your dinosaurs will obviously get less sick, and that's less micromanagement, and also less penalties to dinosaur welfare, which does affect your star rating. So you don't want to be like a slither star away from getting 5 stars and suddenly one of your dinosaur gets sick and suddenly you've delayed that because you get that welfare penalty for like 2 minutes. But lifespan is also fairly important because you don't want to halfway through your challenge mode have to replace dinosaurs because you lost dinosaurs and suddenly your star rating goes down because that dinosaur's rating is no longer calculated into your game. So lifespan is fairly important as well. But they did also upgrade lifespans in this new update, so that's one less thing to worry about. So now I'm incubating the herbivores, some of the starting herbivores, and I made a small, you would call a pathway onto the left side here. Just a really arbitrary one. So I wanted to maximize space because in order for this holding pen idea to work, it will connect to eventually 3 different exhibits, and those 3 exhibits need to have, you know, some viewing gallery because your star rating also counts with your dinosaur visibility. So if you can maximize dinosaur visibility, then that's, you know, one more factor to your star rating that you don't need to worry about. So guests are rolling in. I'm making decent income. I wouldn't say great income. I think around this stage I was making about 100k per minute, which is a standard usual early game. This is when I started making my second ceratosaurus. I believe that was because one of the contracts asked me to make a high rating ceratosaurus. So if you notice, I didn't have many genome modifications available for the ceratosaurus, so in order to get that high rating, I just needed to get extra DNA for it. So as you can see, the entertainment was released ceratosaurus with a rating of 81. And I believe I was maxed out at 80, so I needed to go back to one of the ceratosaurus dig sites, get some more DNA to improve its rating. That's another way to improve rating, just max out the DNA. So 100% fresh raw vanilla genome will have a much higher rating than a 50% raw. That's obviously the case. And I built that emergency shelter just to finish that security mission off. I believe the cost reward outvalues the cost expenditure. So, you know, things like that, you want to min-max the profit all the time. You notice in this playthrough as well, one of the ways I did was every time I reached 100% on a certain dinosaur at a single dig site, for instance the baryonyx, who only appears at like 2 dig sites until you unlock the Polycanthus, but the Polycanthus is a very late game, I think. So after I got like 100% in the baryonyx, I just started spamming expeditions, and that's when I had like 3 when I researched Dig Team Bravo and Charlie. So I was just spamming that for money, and then you can research the Dig Yield as well, and you can just min-max that stuff and get like a huge income influx. But it's not something I did until the late game, which is one of the reasons why I kind of reach an economically sustainable level. So this is my first Edmontosaurus. This one's a fairly vanilla one. It's got some modifications that I researched, but yeah, it's fairly vanilla because it still has a very low percentage. I think it was only in the 70s percentage. But yeah, I intend to. Edmontosaurus is actually one of the most sturdy dinosaurs, and by I mean sturdy, it's because it's so easy to maintain its comfort levels because it only needs one of itself. It has very low social threshold, it has a very low population threshold, so you can actually have it by itself. You don't really need a friend for it. But I decided to make 2.
Edmontosaurus was originally uncovered at a site in Canada.
Also with the ceratosaurus, 2 ceratosaurus can actually stay together in an exhibit. I think it goes up to 3, but I only experimented with 2. So didn't need to create another exhibit for it. It was fine.
I owe you for this, and I won't forget it.
Here is when I started putting down a ranger station and an ACU. I didn't really need the ACU yet because all my exhibits currently were still connected to the Hammond Creation Lab, but eventually I would have to get, and that's one of the most annoying contracts, most combat victories. I feel like
I've got a new
most of the
contract
security
for you.
division contracts
Review it,
are
and then I think you should accept it.
some of the most unrealistic to obtain if you're trying to speedrun. And the thing about this mode is you can't just terminate a contract because you'll get penalized $200,000. Not sure if that number increases in terms of difficulty or not, but I can't imagine it does. So in hard mode and challenging mode, I feel like you don't want to cancel contracts. You want to try to do it.
I want to show it.
As you can see, I got the new contract with Edmontosaurus with rating 19. I already have one on the way that's rating 21, so that's perfect. You know, 2 birds with 1 stone. So the two ceratosaurus are fine. They get along with each other. This is when I start worrying a bit about guests. I did unlock the new restaurant. So just plopping it down. Bit inefficient with my space there on the left side a bit between the viewing gallery and the Hammond Creation Lab. Maybe could have squared it out and had an extra space there for building, but it's not the worst issue. Here is my second Edmontosaurus. That's the one that will fulfill the first security contract, the released Edmontosaurus with rating 19. And also I got a fairly lucky entertainment mission that's incubate 2 triceratops, which I can definitely do because I'm getting triceratops next.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Also, you do want to manage your economics very carefully, especially with those guest satisfaction buildings. If you notice, my fast food and my restaurant was set to try to get as many people in as possible. And the way you get as many people in as possible is if you minimize your income for that. Alternative for the gift shop, I tried to max out the price so I can get loads of income for it, but it satisfies less people. So it's a min-max that you do have to contain. So say if you have two food buildings, 2 food and drink buildings, like the fast food and the restaurant, maybe you want one as like the profit machine, where it satisfies less people, and you maybe want one of them to be the more of the guest satisfaction, where it satisfies much more people, but you get less of a profit. So it's like a balancing act. And now hotels have viewing ranges, so you want to put them in certain situations where they will be next to exhibits. And I placed it right here because I intended to build an exhibit at the back of it. Another thing I think I could have been much more efficient with is incubating things. I feel like I could really be faster at incubating things, but then again, I only have like 208k, so I couldn't really afford much.
It will never decrease, however, so watch out for that.
So yeah, that final security mission, I had to cop the fine, because I don't think I could have completed it. The most combat victories, 0 out of 2. So you can see there's quite a lot of things to research, and I got pretty confused as well. I didn't know, well, I actually had no idea what you should research at certain times, and I feel like that's something the community is gonna work out fairly quickly to introduce what are the most effective things to research at particular times. One of my priorities right now at this stage of the game was trying to get a better fencing system, because if you notice, the Velociraptor dig site was open, and that was at the back of my mind, you know, because I was getting Velociraptor fossils, and I didn't want to risk it with just the light steel fence. Sure, you can risk it with the light steel fence if you're completely sure that your Velociraptors will be at perfect comfort levels. But the thing about this game mode is because there are storms, and when a storm arrives, all the carnivores in the game, their comfort level, I think it's all dinosaurs actually, all the comfort levels slowly reduce. And if you have a long storm, that can actually start getting velociraptors to bang fences. And I believe it happens once in this game, but I never had a breakout in this mode, I think. So you do want to have,
but it is always necessary.
You do want to have better fences. You do want to keep upgrading your fences, and I think I upgraded the ceratosaurus fence as well. But in my playthrough, where I tried to focus a lot on carnivores, you really do need to get the better fences up and running. And if you notice, I just clicked on the star rating. My guest facilities, they were great. I had great capacity, great satisfaction, and the only thing that was really bad was the dinosaur variety. So that is what I attempted to fix, and that's the majority of the game mode. I feel in order to race to 5 stars, I think you just need to pump out more and more dinosaurs to increase the variety.
I've just finished reviewing this new contract, and I think it's right up your alley. I'm sure
So this is a fairly easy contract. Just research the reload speed, and I needed to get the ACU up, which I didn't have, so that was another key thing. So my plan right now is to try to get the velociraptor up, and since I built the hotel right there, I wanted to put the velociraptor pen somewhere behind it so it could offer some visibility. But since I'm building a pen there, I need to obviously transport my raptors. So I need the ACU center to be able to have the access to the ACU helicopter and the transport. And here I'm just removing the foliage because it's a bit hard to see the terrain.
Congratulations are in order, and thanks.
So there's 3 things you need in order to get the velociraptor. You need a better fence. You also need hatchery capacity, and you need some velociraptor DNA, obviously. So hatchery capacity, the reason for that is you want free hatchery slots, because the velociraptor comfort levels, they need 3 of each other for their social threshold. These are my 2 triceratops, by the way. Complement with the Edmontosaurus. So you need 3 velociraptor slots, and you want to transport them at roughly at the same time to the actual exhibit, so they don't, get pissed off that they don't have enough friends and they start banging fences, and then you can really go downhill from there.
I see you've hatched a triceratops. It might be cute now, but that's only gonna last for about a week.
So I'm getting the toy shop now because I realized that the guest satisfactions were missing a bit of fun. And you don't actually start off with many fun satisfaction buildings. You start off with food, drink, and shopping satisfaction, but you don't have much fun. Most of the fun are unlocks, like the toy shop, the arcade, the bowling alley. Those are all like fun, satisfying. But yeah, you want to get at least one of those buildings up.
You made the security division look good today. Let's make that every day, shall we?
So now I'm keep trying to pump up Velociraptor, because I do want to improve its DNA. I think for the Velociraptor I actually went with 100% DNA. Because I wanted to maintain really, really good levels for it.
Word is that a new contract is available.
So now since I got 2 security missions running, which are definitely going to boost my security up a lot, and I already got very high standing with the entertainment division, I wanted to get some science division, so it's all just a balancing act. And I unlocked 2 hardness from the research, so that's great because it's an attack modifier, and carnivores usually have 2-3 minimum slots, so you can really pump up those ratings by adding a lot of attack modifications. Aggressive instincts is
I
another
wasn't entirely
good
sure
one.
about this one, but
Reaction speed is great because it also increases attack, so increases the rating, but it also increases lifespan. Reaction speed is a fairly great one for carnivores.
I think you will too.
I think it's the highest lifespan increaser in the attack genome modification slot. So that makes it fairly valuable, I feel. But you also don't want to abuse it and get, you know, I think the Indominus Rex has like, what, 5 or 6 attack slots. You don't want to put reaction speeds on all of them, because you don't want the Indominus Rex to get like a massive attack stat. That just makes it get pissed off all the time and start banging fences. So I also got the Chunkingosaurus 60% genome, and this is when, yeah, you also get the Lorlufanian Ziluging, which also has the Dilophosaurus. So you get the Huayango, the Chunkingo, the Dilophosaurus. Another carnivore, great, the Dilophosaurus. But yeah, I wanted to get the Chunkingosaurus, so I was starting to think right now, you know, you got the Chunkingo and the Huayango coming up. It's time to start thinking about another Stegosaurid exhibit as well. And I tried to keep some semblance, but honestly, you can just stuff the herbivores in together. Like, I tried to keep a bit historically accurate, which is really no need, and I think it makes it much more efficient if you just ignore all that. As once again, I got really unlucky with ambers here. Like, pretty much every dinosaur I extracted this game, I got at least 2 ambers for it, which is I feel like, no, maybe more. I feel like I got like 3 or 4 ambers each actually, which I don't think is the standard rate. I think that's just the difficulty level playing at work. Maybe easy mode actually increases your amber attainment rate. So here I got the electrified light steel fence. Remember, when you're building fences, always to leave sort of a gap that big for the viewing gallery and the viewing tower if needed. And it's just through intuition. I can't really describe how much length you need. It's more like practice and experience that you know how much length you need. So I'm really close to 100% now. And I actually wanted to pull the trigger right around here and be like, stuff it, let's just make it like a 92% genetic modification. But I was like, nah, hold on. It's not that far to go to just get 100%. Get all the genome slots activated, fill them up with genetic modifications, and have the highest rating Velociraptors I can at this stage. And you'll have 3 Velociraptors in total, so that's a huge rating boost. And it'll propel you up to like 2, maybe 2.5 stars early on in the game. And remember, this is early on in the game, I mean, we're only like 30 minutes in, so... yeah, building a small raptor pen right here. And I'll have a viewing gallery that's on the north side, and the hotel, which actually has a decent viewing radius. The hotel will cover the western side. Here I'm going back for some more North American herbivores. I think I was focusing on the Ankylosaurus, but the Corypho has a lot of overlap with the Ankylosaurus, so eventually you have to go for a lot. You see I started unlocking fossils now, and yes, you do have to unlock some fossils in this game. Most of the Deluxe Edition, the Fallen Kingdom dinosaurs,
percentage is increasing. This
and
means
some
you're doing well. So
some other dinosaurs like the Mamenchisaurus, Dracorex you need to unlock through research. So yeah, I went for the ceratosaurus and the other Fallen Kingdom. I think it was the baryonyx. Yeah, I researched the baryonyx because I feel like the baryonyx is really useful. So baryonyx, Suchomimus, and Majungasaurus are really useful in this mode because they are carnivores that appear in single sites, right? The baryonyx even more so because it appears in 2 sites early on in the game. So if you have a Dig Team Bravo early on, you can actually get Dig Team Bravo to go Smoke Jack Clay Pit and Isle of Wight, right? And I know Polacanthus also appears in the Isle of Wight, but it doesn't unlock until late games, until like 4 or 3.5 stars. So you can actually abuse it and get baryonyx really quickly. You can get 100% baryonyx super quickly. And baryonyx as a carnivore, like Majungasaurus, like Suchomimus, they have very skewed ratings, which actually propel it very quickly. So yeah, I feel like focusing on carnivores is the right thing to do. Also, but that also comes with a cost with you know, micromanagement aspect. You don't want your carnivores to be breaking out all the time, but I feel like if you're smart enough and you're intuitive enough that you can maintain comfort levels constantly, then I think it's a fair trade. You see, I got some Ankylosaurus Amber, which is great because Ankylosaurus is already viable. But yeah, I have Baryonyx unlocked now, so I got those 2 sites. So I'm having, my idea was having 1 dig team stay in China, max out the Velociraptor, get the Chungkingo and the Huayango up, and my second site, my Dictating Bravo, is going to go on the Baryonyx and try to max that out. So yeah, the Baryonyx is very, very valuable in this game. It has such a great starting condition where it starts in, as I said, 2 sites, where most of the other unlockable dinosaurs don't. The Carnotaurus, the Giganotosaurus, Suchomimus, and Majangosaurus, they all start, they only have 1 site to their name. Spinosaurus is another great one, but you can get the Baryonyx much quicker than the Spinosaurus because it only unlocks after 1.5 stars. You can research it quickly, whereas Spinosaurus, I think, appears around the 2.5 to 3 star mark, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a bit earlier. But yeah, Spinosaurus is another one you can also easily boost because it has 2 sites, and it only appears at those 2 sites, and it has no other extra members for you to reduce the chance of getting Spinosaurus fossils. So now that I got my 3rd hatchery slot, I was waiting on the funds to get the Velociraptor. Now this is where it got fairly frustrating, and this is where sometimes the RNG does not go into your favor, and you guys will find out soon why. And it's one of the more frustrating things, that things like this can actually impact how RNG actually impacts your game and can actually slow down you a lot. As you can see, one of the things is poor variety, and my 3rd Velociraptor failed, and this is not a cheap Velociraptor. This is a $680,000 Velociraptor, and at this stage of the game, that's a lot of money. So you can see my income is running at like 180k, and I'm getting only barely scraping 200k per minute. So it's actually going to take, it's actually 328k. All right, so more than I expected, but you know, that takes time. That's like 2 minutes that I need to wait to get the amount of funds for the Velociraptor. And you can't release the 2 Velociraptors this early on without having the 3rd one at least incubating, because you're going to be in a hard time when they start banging fences. And this is a light steel electrified fence. It's not like one of those late game fences. They're going to break it easily. I'd say within 3 or 4 hits. And you really just want to avoid that. So yeah, Baryonyx, again, trying to get 100%, trying to max the ratings. So this is where I sold. So I got Huayangosaurus Amber and Dilophosaurus. It was low quality, which isn't that valuable. But I decided to sell them to try to speed up getting enough money for my 3rd Velociraptor. And I think it failed again. So yeah, RNGesus was not with me tonight, and delaying my 3 Velociraptors a good 2-3 minutes probably shaves off about 10 minutes speed time, I reckon. Because if you have those 3 Velociraptors come out, suddenly guest influx increases heavily, your rating increases heavily. And it's a bit of an exponential curve in terms of progress and growth for this mode. So as you can see, it failed again. So this is the 2nd time it failed. And this is when I bit the bullet and I was just like, fuck it, let's get success rate 1.0 to make sure. Because it was a very good viability as well. I'm pretty sure before that, with only 1 success rate, it was in the 70% mark. So I was just very unlucky. But I bit the bullet and I got the 2nd success rate, which we should bring it into almost full range. So I can worry about like 80-something% or something. So yeah, you have to keep in mind that success rate 1.0 only increases 10%. But it's not too far away that I can start unlocking success rate 2.0, incubation speed 2.0, etc. But yeah, now I'm trying to get funds for the Velociraptor that failed, even though I have 2 fully incubated Velociraptors ready to release. Can't release them just yet because you need to wait for that third member. So I got fairly lucky again with the baryonyx amber. And luckily I had two fairly decent non-fossils that I could sell. I sold that low quality fossil, the Dilophosaurus fossil, just to increase the funds. Yeah, raptor. I only needed one more tick. So it's 645k. So yeah, still very pricey at this stage of the game. So now I'm incubating it, and I think it was about, you can wait until it's about like 50 to 60% viability. And then release the other two. If you're really scared, maybe wait until 70 or 80% to make sure it doesn't fail. Because I think once it passes the 80% stage, the failure rate will be very, very unlikely. Like you'll have to be super unlucky if it fails at anything past 80%. So yeah, just keen to get my velociraptor stuff. Also, I unlocked the electrified heavy steel fence, and now since I got a lot of money, and hopefully that third velociraptor doesn't fail, which it shouldn't fail, because I have 2 success rate 1.0s now, decided to spend that extra money upgrading the fences just in case. And here is when I decided I needed a bit more power. My power was, I wouldn't say hanging by a thread, but it was getting to that stage, and I have this nice, convenient, unplanned place on the eastern side of the velociraptor pen that was able to fit 2 medium power stations eventually. And yeah, I went for the medium power station unlock in the research. Might as well got it. Again, very lucky with amber in this run. Lots of baryonyx fossils coming in, and yeah, fairly quick release. So it's at 41% now. This is when I was like, maybe the time is right to start getting those velociraptors out. But my priority right now was to get the medium power station up, just to make sure I have a good buffer so I can expand. And yeah, I also had improved output and outage protection. I didn't go for the reduced upkeep. I'm not sure about the reduced upkeep. I feel like reduced upkeep is early game, it's great. Yeah, it's something that has to be experimented, maybe with the community, maybe by myself a bit more. I'm not sure where that plays into in the speedrun. I'm just not too sure about reduced upkeep for power stations. I feel like it just doesn't do enough. I feel like outage protection is super great because you get a lot of contracts where it's like you have to maintain no outage for, like, no power outages for certain minutes. As you can see, like, I have one currently right now, that my science, no power outage right now, 40 seconds left. And so you want outage protection, and you also don't want like a shutdown power generator in the middle of something. It's just not a risk you want to take. So outage protection is great. Increased power output is always great because it means you can have much more power with only less constructing to do. Because power stations do take a long time to make. Mediums and larges even longer than smalls, obviously. So you do want to maximize that. The thing about the small power station, it only has 2 upgrade slots, and I upgraded with 1 power outage, 1 outage protection, and 1 power output. So it's a good balancing. But for the medium power station, it has 3 slots, I think, so you can have 2 outputs and 1 outage protection. So yeah, it's much more efficient. It's definitely more efficient, but you shouldn't go deleting your small power stations. You should maintain them.
Amazing work. You have my thanks.
Look,
So here I got
raptors get a
good
bad rap because
Baryonyx
people
also coming up,
understand that they are,
and also the
and always will
Triceratosaurus.
be, alpha predators. Our job is to
So
help
I'm just cycling through now.
raptors understand that
As I said,
we
one
are
site
as
going
well.
through China, the other side going through the baryonyx, and now my 3 velociraptors out and tranquilized and ready to be transported.
Asset requiring collection. Picking up asset.
Contracts.
This was so lucky. This was
Who has a new contract?
I actually smiled when this came up. Having a baryonyx release with 129, I think it was, rating. That was so great because I was just in the process of making a super high rated baryonyx. So yeah, try to stuff it up with obviously the reaction speed is great. I wasn't going to incubate it yet because I was only 8% away from 100%, and I have a lot of fossils that need extraction. So I believe I had enough for 100% now. So yeah, I think that was enough. So I just started switching to North America back again. Try to get one of the herbivores. I think I went for the Ankylosaurus eventually. I don't think I went for any other North American herbivore. Oh, except for Brachiosaurus. That had fairly high ratings as well later on in the game. So now I was focusing on trying to get Dilophosaurus out, and also finishing off the Trunkingosaurus mission, which I also intended to showcase with the Hoyangosaurus.
Delivery has been completed.
So here I went outage protection,
Asset has been delivered.
just to decrease, as I said, the chances of having an outage, which I don't think is a huge deal, but it's alright.
Your progress is
Alright,
something to
100% Baryonyx
I'm looking for the
genome.
right
Just
word
pumping
here.
it with some more.
Phenomenal,
Got a
perhaps.
lifespan as well.
Anyway, keep it up. You're
Gonna put
hard
brain
working,
aging on it
young
because that's the highest lifespan. So now I'm starting to incubate my baryonyx with 190 rating, so much over the top than the 139 rating that I needed. Yeah, now it's time to build another exhibit. Got 2 Trunkingosaurus ambers. That was great. And here is when I switched back to the baryonyx site because I realized I can milk a lot of money from it. You can see my economy isn't that strong at the moment. It's floating around the 200, 300k mark, and my income is roughly about 400k at this point. So definitely not a super strong economy, and I could certainly use with some extra cash, especially when that Hammond Foundation fee starts rolling in, scaves money off me. So Ankylosaurus is also moving along well, almost 100%. Here is when I decided to go for my second medium carnivore. Sorry, my third medium carnivore after the baryonyx and ceratosaurus. The Metricanvosaurus, which is also another dinosaur that needs to be unlocked in the research tab. So yeah, Metricanvosaurus also, as I said, carnivores are rating skewed, so you do want to make a lot of carnivores. They also help. Alternatively, you can also take a different route, I've been thinking.
Let's not argue
And
over
make
the
lots
small
more
stuff.
herbivores.
Looking at the big picture,
But I feel like
this is a solid contract.
creating a lot more herbivores, someone has to do the maths on it. I'm not sure which is the more economically viable, because herbivores do tend to cost less, right? But you need to make more of them to have the same rating.
Task at hand.
But you can also do a balance. Like I did a balance this game. I had Trunkingosaurus, I had Triceratops, had Montosaurus, had Hoyangosaurus. Eventually had Brachiosaurus as well. But for sure, mostly carnivores. I think it's definitely something that needs to be analyzed in better retrospect, and you know, with more mathematical proof on. It's definitely an optimization that's that would help speed up the speedrun. But that's something else that needs to be studied. So anyways, some more ground flattening, because I am trying to expand to the south side. I got my first disease actually, but which is a bit scary because I only researched like a couple of diseases so far, but it was the common cold, so it was fine.
Hey, I just received a new contract. You are
So expedition for a giant herbivore fossil. This is the mission that
Setting additional tasks.
triggered me to start excavating some sauropods. And sauropods also have a high SKU because they're very costly and very big and cumbersome and hard to manage. They do tend to have higher ratings. Brachiosaurus especially. That's a classic Jurassic Park film dinosaur. So it does tend to carry a lot of weight in terms of ratings. I believe this is my baryonyx. Yeah, this is my baryonyx enclosure I'm building right now. It's a bit more spacious than needed. Since this is easy mode, you don't really need that much space for the carnivores, especially. They can really tolerate very low spaces, but it's fine, whatever. Had a bit of space. It also means I cut off the right area, but that right area, the eastern side, I was going to turn into a kind of power dump as well. Have some medium power stations there. So it's very useful, this new change where you can see the genome percentages on the dig site map.
No diseased dinosaurs detected.
It certainly makes it much easier to deduce where you're coming from. I would have liked maybe another improvement to the UI, maybe instead of just showing the genome percentages, showing the possible your maximum genome that you can reach, considering all the fossils that you have currently, like in here in the fossil center. So let's just say you have 2 baryonyx fossils, but it's at 80%. It would be nice to see, eventually you can have like a 92%, since those 2 fossils account for 12% DNA or something like that. Just see if you need to keep going back to that site, because what if you have, what if it shows 80% on the dig site, but you already have enough to reach 100% genome completion? So you don't need to go back to that dig site. I feel like a bit more feedback there would be nice.
Okay, don't let this go to your head, but that was some very impressive work on that contract.
So I'm about 2.2 stars now. It's fine. Going for science now.
I want to take this contract.
And I feel like entertainment
which
and
means you want to take
science.
it too. Correct?
Entertainment and science contracts are so easy to do. Like you can almost do it almost instantly for some reason.
That was impressive.
It's the Gigantostake. This is when you start building guest buildings and you realize that you really need to max them out because you need to satisfy a lot of them. So yeah, this is my baryonyx that's being transported. I'm missing a bit of fun. And that's when I get my toy shop out.
This is a side
So yeah, obtain Brachiosaurus fossil and an expedition for a giant herbivore fossil. This is what really made me
I've always
go for
considered myself
Brachiosaurus.
a bit of an adventurer and a lot of a luxury hotel fan, huh? So enjoy your time in the dirt.
So yeah, as you can see, a bunch of yellow dots in North America, which means I haven't done much there. So decided to start going for Brachiosaurus and going back for the Zulu Jing to finish off the Chunkingo, Hoyango, or Dilophosaurus. I've also been going for the Metricamosaurus in the meantime as well.
So make sure to review this contract.
So yeah, research, as I said, it's a bit confusing what you want to do next because there's a lot of open research.
There are many ways to
I
measure
decided to go for
success.
Stygimoloch for some reason.
Expenses, for instance.
I
The
never
more
made it.
success we have, well,
I went for the
in this
arcade
case,
because
the more your expenses increase.
I realized there was a bit of a deficiency in the fun satisfaction, and arcade would alleviate that. I did plop down a toy shop, which helps a bit, but things like arcade bowling alley with their 4-star fun rating really help. 3 or 4 stars help. So my baryonyx is being transported in. My raptors are fine and dandy. They're getting a bit of a comfort degradation because of the storm that's happening. Luckily this wasn't a twister, it was just a pretty heavy cyclonic storm, but it wasn't twister, so that was good. Not sure if you can get twisters on easy mode. I don't think you can actually. But yeah, this game will definitely spice, like the speedruns will definitely spice up when twisters appear, especially in medium and hard modes. But that's the thing, right? That's RNG. That's not really, you can't control. So I feel like you have to be just lucky. and that's another amber for Brachiosaurus, and I'm gonna get like 2 or 3 more ambers for Brachiosaurus, which actually helped us a lot. So pretty much every dinosaur I'm making from here on out is 100%. My early dinosaurs, I could deal with getting, you know, just 50, 60, 70%. But the late game, I really want to try to get 100% for all my new dinosaurs to maximize their rating. Because this is really where you want to accelerate your star rating. You don't want to just sit at this 2.5 level mark.
I've just received reports of a new contract that's available. Looks like the kind of thing you can handle.
Please resume your normal activity.
So yeah, trying to min-max, trying to allow the building to satisfy as many people as possible, but also generating some considerable profit. And you can see in the bottom, I'm making just shy of 4 million now, so I do have a pretty decent bank. I would say I'm approaching that stage where the economy matters a bit little now, but the Hammond Foundation fee will take a bit of a chunk, and research costs as well, since late game research does tend to be very expensive. That Velociraptor banging the fence, I believe, was because its comfort levels were low due to the storm, the recent storm, but I think also because they have high attack. I'm not too sure about that. That was a very weird, random, maybe testing the fences kind of bang. So your Brachiosaurus is going along very well. Note that you also unlock the diplodocus at this stage as well, so I'm pretty sure Brachiosaurus doesn't have any single sight, so I was fairly lucky just getting exclusively Brachiosaurus, because that was my main intention. So I think this exhibit was my Huayangosaurus, Chunkingosaurus exhibit that I'm making. And I was going to make it somewhat sizable because I had an inkling I might need to increase this exhibit with maybe some future Stegosaurus or Kentrosaurus. I was like, yeah, this is somewhat enough space. As you can see, it's not directly connected to the Hammond Creation Lab, so I'm gonna have to do some micromanagement and transport it in there. But yeah, make sure you always have enough space for a viewing gallery, because dinosaur visibility is fairly important in this mode. You want to always maintain it at much higher than... It's very easy to maintain it higher than 95% for sure. 95% to 100% is where you want to maintain it. There's no excuses for having it less than 90%, to be honest. And also more the fact that since the exhibits are so small in this mode, especially easy mode, that
on task and accomplished the
it's very easy to have lots of viewing range overlap. So dinosaur visibility is fairly easy. It'll be harder, of course, in other modes when dinosaurs need much more space. So here is where I was talking about the immune response. It's one of the most fairly common ones, especially for that resilience slot. Although I think immune response also shows up in lifespan and in defense, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it's actually a very versatile genetic modification that can be used for a lot of things. It's most effective in the resilience slot because it combines resilience and lifespan boost. But yeah, and especially since most or all dinosaurs have at least one resilience slot, so it's fairly useful in that regard.
All animals need shelter, even the human ones.
Now I have Metricanvosaurus survivable, but definitely gonna wait until I get 100% in that. Metricanvosaurus only has one site in the Oxford clay, so
it's a dangerous world.
It's easy in that regard to get 100% because you're only going to get Metricanvosaurus fossils, but it's definitely going to be twice as long as, say, baryonyx because it only has one site. That's the disadvantage of those carnivores with just one site. They take a while to get 100%. But you're assured only that fossils, so it makes it a bit easier to digest in that regard.